Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, January 23rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Council Chambers of St. Charles Parish Courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance from Pastor D.B. Moller from Good Hope Missionary Baptist Church in Norco.
Let us stand. Heads bowed and eyes closed. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, it's in you that we put all of our trust. We are grateful tonight, dear God, that we are able to come together and to do the kingdom building as well as public works. We're grateful for the opportunity, dear God, to represent you and to be aware that protocol is always in place when we honor and respect you first. We pray for this meeting, dear God. We're told, dear God, that there would be some inclement weather coming. But in spite of it, you brought us through Katrina and Ida. We thought when November 30th came around that we'd have some peace. But seems as though the weather got worse. We don't know what tomorrow may bring, but we pray that we continue to stay in your hands. Now we ask in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior, that there would be peace, provisions, protection, and parity for the residents and citizens of the St. Charles Parish. We bless this meeting tonight, dear God, and we would do nothing to disrespect you by not praying before we go to work. Bless our efforts, bless this parish of plenty, and bless every one of the citizens. It's in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Moller.
God bless you.
Approval of minutes. A motion and a second is needed to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of December 19th, 2022, and the regular meeting of January 9th, 2023. Motion by Mr. Fisher, second by Ms. Belloc. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously with Councilman Dufresne and Councilman Fisher-Cormier absent this evening. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. Item number 2023-0004, in recognition, Destrehan High School football team, 2022 FA District 7 state champions. Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Magical. How great is it for Destrehan High School representing St. Charles Parish to be the state champions once again in Louisiana. 3 years ago, Coach Scott took over, and in 3 years, he missed going to the state championship by 2 games. Magical. That's the best way I can describe it. In recognition, Destrehan High School Fighting Wildcats football team, 5A District 7 2022 state champions. Head coach Marcus Scott, coaching staff Greg Bone, Tim Taffy, Jasper Vinette, DJ Adams, Rhett Pelche, Jason Smothers, Garrett McGovern, Kevin Knockhand, Joe Trosclair, Jericho Nelson, Jai Eugene Sr., Josh Bernardo, Alan Pittman, Ryan Rome, Oscar Perez, Wayne Centellis, Josh Bordelon, trainers. And let me tell you, without the trainers, these guys aren't getting anywhere. Christy Fry, George Vicknair, athletic directors. Paul Wagesback, George McGovern. Now for the 2022 football team. And please bear with me if I screw up a name. I got about 85 names. Leslie Jefferson, Leonard Harris, Trey Nixon, Jai Eugene Jr., Anthony Robinson III, Trayvon Thomas, Kevin Adams, Jonathan Thiel, Jacoby Green, Daniel Blood, Caden Nicholson, Elijah Murphy, Philip Wright III, Brandon Finnerty, Christian Nunnery, Jace Thomas, Jackson Fields, Patrick Minolti, Anthony Estrada, Ty Terrell, Jermaine White, Brandon Freeman, Shane Lee, Jaden Bailey, Lindell Harris, Brandon Rendell, Ryan Lacey, Greg Wilfred, Mohammed Mastraza, Deja Smith, Edwin Reed, Shane Ward, Caleb Johnson, Raquan Ducre, Neil Taylor, Cravan Scott, William White, Michael LeGroux, Hurley Lewis, Demetric Wilson, Blake Brown, Samaj Walker, Tori Jala, Reese Johnson, Brandon Napolitano, Brady Piku, Brent Boyne, Dontre Fenderson, Alexander Hamilton, Andrew Schaefer, Mid Gilbert, Arrington Adams, Cameron Ricks, Kalaj Cobins, Christian Martin, Gabriel Garcia, Jericho Otis, Logan Oob, Yanal Smith, Dustin Schecksnyder, Sarek Barnes, Peyton Waiter, Andrew Dragna, Carlos Caladero, Jace Mitchell, Ronell Rogers, Landry Cannon, Jalen Davis, Kyle Moody, Michael Reed, Bo Sr., Devin Royer, Jabari Mack, Daquan Dabney, Brock Millett, Noah Bagwell, Brian Guichard, Gideon Bowman, Jaron McCall, Amari Johnson, Noah Murr, Cameron Thomas, Dylan Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 state champions, Louisiana. And if I could say one more thing, guys, to make all district is amazing. This year we had 5 all-state players. I don't know if anybody's played football at this level, in the 5A level in Louisiana, but to make all-state is a huge feat. Destrehan put 5 of them on the all-state team, and we put the MVP on the offense as a state all-state quarterback, Jai Eugene Jr. So, amazing. Just one. I'm going to get Coach Scott. Coach Scott, I don't know where you are with all these guys, but I got to give you a plaque, and I got to take a picture with you, man.
Maybe, but it's Michelle. Why doesn't know what
Sure, you know what? I'll stand by you, Coach.
This works. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us on this great occasion. So proud of these young men. Whenever you achieve something of this magnitude, it's a direct tribute to not only the players and the coaches, but so many people behind the scenes that help contribute to make this a special season. And we just like to thank you all for your support. Thank you.
All right, boys. Yeah.
Yes, I do. How are you? So good to see you. Yeah. So how are things going? Hi. Right. Congratulations. Nice to see you. Wonderful things. So happy for you guys.
Yeah. Yep. 3 of them are going to Tulane.
We're going to have a recess for 5 minutes while everyone else clears out.
Good night. Oh, yes.
What's unfair about all this is Corey gets like a stage seat. I think he should get it. Y'all make him sit next to the rest of me. Say hello to you, see you after that meeting.
Thank the parents. Everyone forgets something. You just wait until they all get out, right? Yeah. That was fun. It's hard to get more tonight.
Kids doing something over there.
Great. How great is that? Yeah. No, it's awesome.
She was a little bit. That's what I bought the bottle for. She didn't stay. She was forced to. I'll stay before she goes to college. She'll be able to see the same. Right. You know, she was not.
So Dick, this is what we evolved into after the football team.
Welcome back. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. That was not easy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That was double tough. All right. Item number 2023-0005, proclamation, Wear Red Day for Women in St. Charles Parish. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Proclamation. Whereas diseases of the heart are the nation's leading cause of death, and stroke is the third leading cause of death. And whereas more women die of heart disease, stroke, and other cardiovascular diseases than the next 5 leading causes of death combined, including all cancers. And whereas February is designated as American Heart Month, and whereas Go Red for Women is the American Heart Association's national call to increase awareness about heart disease, the leading cause of death for women, and to inspire women to take charge of their heart health. And whereas since the first National Wear Red Day, tremendous strides have been made in the fight against heart disease in women. And whereas fewer women are dying from heart disease and more women are aware that their number one health threat, that it is their number one health threat, and whereas all women should learn learn their own personal risk for heart disease using tools that the Go Red for Women social initiative provides by talking to their healthcare provider, and whereas making the right choices related to proper nutrition, physical activity, doctor visits, and other lifestyle methods is essential to living a heart-healthy life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim Friday, February 3rd, 2023, as Wear Red Day for Women in St. Charles Parish in recognition of the importance of the ongoing fight against heart disease and stroke, and urge all citizens to show their support for women and the fight against heart disease by commemorating this day by wearing of the color red, by increasing awareness and empowering women to reduce their risk for cardiovascular disease. We can save thousands of lives each year. Here to accept is Miss Valley Harmon and Tracy Esquire. Is it Esquire? Are they here today? Looks like some other folks will be here to accept. You guys hold this right here, and I'll stand right here.
One more. Thank you.
Good evening. Will Robinson, interventional cardiologist at St. Charles Hospital. We thank you for this proclamation. We have a few events coming up this upcoming month. We'll be selling our Go Red T-shirts for the entire month, which proceeds going to the American Heart Association, as well as we have heart healthy lunches. A lot of people like to come to our cafeteria. So we'll be having lunches Mondays, which are heart healthy, which some proceeds will be going to the American Heart Association as well. And on February 3rd, we'll be doing the Wear Red, and we will have a special heart healthy lunch that day as well. All right. So I look forward to seeing you out there. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, and thank you, President Jewell. Item number 2023-0010, confirmation hearing for appointment of Director, Department of Wastewater, Mr. David DeGeneres. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. As you all know, Miles Bingham serves as the Director of Public Works and Wastewater. And back in the early 80s, the council created the Department of Public Works. They created the Department of Wastewater. They created the Department of Waterworks. But at some point in time in the 80s, they actually combined the director position for Public Works with wastewater. I was told back then just to consolidate and potentially pay that person more. The parish was smaller. They thought maybe one person could handle both. Now I think the parish is at a point where we can have a director of wastewater. For all intents and purposes, the departments are wholly separate. They have separate budgets. They use separate equipment. The only thing they really do share is the engineering department, or the engineer staff in Public Works, I should say. And so I think it's appropriate at this time that we, on paper, make David DeGeneres the director of wastewater. This is really only a title change. There's no change in the salary. And Miles will be relieved of that duty and just be the director of Public Works. So just cleaning up the organizational chart and making it cleaner across the board.
Thank you, President Jewell. File number 2023-0010 is now open for public comment. So if there's anyone who would like to come up and speak on behalf of this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Miles Bingham, Public Works Director. I am fully in support of this. David has been working with me for the last year and a half, and he's done a fantastic job running that department, and I fully support this. I just wanted the council to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, any council discussion? Public comment is closed. Seeing none, please cast your votes on confirmation of Mr. David DeGeneres, Director of Wastewater. And that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. DeGeneres. Reports, finance and administration activities. Item number 2023-0007, animal control. Ms. Troxler.
Good evening, Parish President and Council. Okay, so this is our 2023 annual report reflecting our data from 2022. That's a quick glance at our team. It was during Christmas, we've added a couple of part-timers. So we have 4 animal control officers, 2 kennel attendants, a kennel officer, and a fantastic assistant supervisor, Allison Badgerow. So our total shelter intake as an open intake government shelter is 473 dogs, which is 11% decrease from last year, which is kind of interesting data to me because owner surrenders have actually felt exceedingly high this year. For cats, the intake did increase to 1,066, and in 2021 that was around 875. But we do a lot to support spay-neuter to close that circle since cats breed 5 times a year versus the twice a year as a dog. So how do we find homes? What do we do with them when they enter the shelter? So all of our pets that are found stray, just meaning they don't have their parent with them, we don't know who they belong to without a microchip or tag, they get 5 business days for their owner to locate them and come in and claim them. For cats, that's always a very low number. It's typically around 1% for cats. But this year we had an 11% increase in cat reclaims, and in dogs we had a 12% increase. And we really attribute that to some updates you guys made to ordinances a few years ago that we mandate a microchip. Once a pet comes to the shelter, they have to leave with a microchip. That way, if we find them loose again, we can immediately contact the owner, know who they belong to, and they get home sooner than later. And then adopted locally, we have 2 new partnerships with Petco Mid-City, Petco Metairie, and they've been a huge asset. Just since September, they've adopted 87 cats. So there are condominiums there, and if people don't like the environment of a shelter and they want to be off-site, they can go see cats there and adopt directly there, and then our parish gets that $80 adoption fee. And then cats locally, 67, and dogs, 58. We, as you know, have a lot of strong national partners and receivers that take in our pets, and that makes a huge difference for us by flying them nationally for homes. It costs the parish nothing for the flights because they're sponsored by Greater Good Charities. Each flight's about $25,000 for the private plane, and we have sent 140 cats and 126 dogs, which is a lot. And we do that with surrounding coastal parish shelters. About 5 of us participate in that. Length of stay for dogs is nice to see a decrease to 15 days, and for cats it also decreased a little bit to 13 days because, as my staff knows and hears a lot, it's $25 per day just to run that building and care for a pet. So an adoption fee of $80 with all the medical care we put in isn't even included in that fee. But $25 a day adds up pretty quickly, so we want them in the shelter shortest amount of time. It's most fiscally responsible, and it's better for the pet's mental status. So bite cases, we follow our data tightly since you guys updated an ordinance in 2020. And we have data this year that bully breeds were almost 45% of our bite cases. And the second runner-up was a German Shepherd, Weimaraner, mixed breed small dogs. So that's how that data turned out. For bite cases, we do have ordinances that protect people's pets from bites and dog on human bites. So 76% of our cases were involving a human, which involves a rabies quarantine whenever a human is bitten or scratched, and that's a 10-day quarantine at the shelter. And then for dog to dog, there are ordinances that we follow that provides more strict containment for that animal once there has been an attack or an incident. So for the dangerous spectrum, you guys remember you updated that ordinance 2020 for the dangerous spectrum, and what I reported last year were out of the 83 dogs that were on that spectrum in 2 years, only 10% reoffended. So that just means the owners actually heeded the requirements of containment, followed them, and there was never an error made again to let them loose to have another impact on a human or pet. So this year, 36 dogs were placed on the dangerous spectrum based on the severity of bite or incident that occurred, and only 2 have reoffended. So that is, instead of 10%, that's 5% this year that reoffended. So that's good. And then we do a lot to keep found pets out of the shelter. If someone finds a pet, they report it to us because we are the legal shelter of jurisdiction that people look to find their lost pet. We scan for a microchip, and if that finder chooses to hold that pet for the 5-day stray hold, they can. We can either do all their medical care at the shelter, or we actually literally can go to their yard in our van and do all the medical care, make sure they're dewormed, vaccinated, and healthy while the person keeps that pet. And if not claimed, some people choose to adopt them from there. And then if people don't want any permanent responsibility, we have some fosters that love fostering because they go on vacation a lot, or they don't want the responsibility of medical care, veterinary fees on another pet, and they foster for us, and we keep up with the medical care, and they're in a home while we try to place them. And then our dog aggression cases really increased this year. In 2021, it was 41 cases, and this year it was 54 cases. And I do have some theories on why that occurred, but just like people were kind of isolated during COVID, it's a huge socialization period for puppies to be socialized before they're 4 months old. And honestly, a lot of those cases, people weren't getting out and about. And when they're mature and intact at about 2 years old, things start happening, whether it's aggression or just high arousal kind of pets, then they get turned into the shelter because they become too much. And then on the kitty side, we try to get kittens in before they are 12 weeks old so we can socialize them, make them friendly to people. Once they're brought in as adults and they're scared of humans and want to run away, that socialization period is lost, and that's a feral cat that we would have to place at a barn or something of that nature, and we do as much of that as possible. So we still offer free surgeries for spay and neuter of cats just to stop that cycle and decrease the amount that we're intaking into the shelter. So we do microchip, rabies, since that's a zoonotic disease, people can get it. And our ears look like the little V on the bottom right. If you see a cat that looks like that, that means we've spayed or neutered it. And then in 2021, we did 251, this year 293. So those numbers continue to increase, which is good. And we do our own in-house surgeries. Everything leaving for adoption is spayed and neutered. Everything leaving our parish, even for national adoption, is spayed or neutered because we want our pets in homes first, and we want receiving shelters to choose our pets first. So we spend a lot less money doing it that way since I'm your in-house vet. And if we had the lowest cost option available, we would have spent $117,000 on those surgeries. If you did normal local vet prices, it would have been about $300,000 worth of surgeries. So we save a good bit. And then canine heartworm treatments, that would be about $11,000 worth, but we do it all in-house. And so heartworm disease is a big deal for us, transmitted by mosquitoes, and we treat those patients as well. Volunteer hours, we have some super consistent volunteers, and they've devoted over 1,200 hours to us for walking dogs, bathing dogs. Some of the people in those pictures bathe before every flight. Did a flight this morning, that was a 2 a.m. flight. 5 dogs went. Cases, we had over 3,000 cases, which is an increase from 2021. And our officers, there are 4 of them, work hand in hand with the district attorney to present our casework and support the local animal ordinances and the state statutes for cruelty. And we've had 222 calls to investigate, and a lot of those end up being wellness checks that we look into. And as you can see, many of our cases are just animals at large, and we are searching for the owner, checking on their rabies status, counseling them on how to contain their pet. We even have donated crates we give them, leashes, whatever it takes to keep them within the confines of a fence or their home. And then the second, unfortunately, is bite cases. We had 38 this year. Uh-oh. All right, there we go. Grant opportunities, we always seek out grants. This year, if you add up the 35 jet flights we did, that would have cost us a lot of money. Those were all donation-based, so we didn't pay a bit for that. And Greater Good Charities also provides all the heartworm and flea and tick prevention for our shelter based on donations from the drug company Boehringer Ingelheim, so that's generous. They sent over 45,000 pounds of food, which is worth over $90,000, and we distribute that to the Gulf Coast Parish shelters for their community and their in-house shelter animals. And with $35,000 in ASPCA grants, we purchased disaster response supplies because every year we try to grow in that aspect. And then if someone comes in with a major orthopedic issue that I can't take care of, we have a local nonprofit turning rescues into pets, and they have stepped up to the plate every time we needed it. If we need $3,000-4,000 for a specialist to repair something on a pet that could be normal with surgery, they help us to do that. If someone wants to do low-cost spay-neuter, once a month we offer that through the Louisiana SPCA. They pick up in our parking lot for the community. If someone can't afford that, TRIP pays for that as well. And then for Petco, they pay for the food and the condominiums and facilitate adoptions, and we still get our adoption fee at those 2 locations. We do a lot of networking with local parishes, other directors, and national partners, and that's all very, very important to us so we can clear our shelter before a hurricane. So we are not transporting and evacuating 200 pets with us. We get them homes before that. And we still do our community events every Tuesday. We do volunteer training at 10 a.m. and we have no age limit on that. If a child comes with a parent, we facilitate that. We do Santa Claus every year, the real Santa Claus. And we do Tails Up and Out with staff to the farmers market every Wednesday at 2 p.m. so the community can come with us to walk dogs for that. Rescue Run Club, Thursdays at 6 a.m. We have staff that's super motivated to get up early and leash up the dogs for people to walk and run before they go to work. Do the rabies drive every April. And birthday parties kind of ramped up a little bit again this year. We've done a few. And we've also added condo sponsorships. Those 2 center slides are businesses that have sponsored a condo for that pet for the year. And Allison will give them updates on what pets went through that condo for that year, kind of to help support our budget since the price of everything is increasing yearly. And then ultimate goals of the animal shelter here, public health and safety. We want to, of course, keep pets in homes, reunite them, adoption of healthy animals, and behaviorally sound pets. And we want to get them out of stray hold and medically cleared and into homes sooner than later. Education's huge for us. We go to schools like Ethel Scheffner every half day and talk about pets and responsibilities, and Mimosa Park. Whoever asks us to do it, we do it because we feel like that's where it's at, educating the kids. And we just went to a class in disaster response training last week in Lafayette, and we continue that training. And do you have any questions?
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to commend you on the great job that you are doing, and thank you for not only doing a great job here, but including the neighboring parishes in the opportunities that are out there, either to ship out pets or for grants that might be available. And you talked about the bite cases. How many bite cases do you generally have every year? Because you gave what was bitten and the different types of dogs, but I didn't see the number of bites.
Typically, it's in the 30s. I think last year was around 38 bite or scratches that we addressed with a rabies quarantine, meaning they take up space in the shelter for 10 days, monitoring to assure they're not rabid.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Item number 2023-008, German Coast Farmers Market. Ms. Montgomery.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to update you in the parish on what is happening with the German Coast Farmers Market. Believe it or not, we're in our 20th year of operation at the East Bank Market, beginning in 2003, and our 17th year of operation on the West Bank. Our East Bank Market has prospered at its new location. For over a year, we have enjoyed the East Bank Regional Library's parking area in Destrehan as our market home. Electrical outlets on pedestals have been installed at our cost for our vendors and our entertainers who need power, and the library personnel have been very helpful with our transition. We genuinely thank Leanne Benedict, Lauren Pitts, and Kenny Bro for working so closely with us. And for the past year, the West Bank Market has operated at the Bridge Park in Luling. During the summer months, the vendors sell their products under the pavilion, which makes for a much cooler venue than in the parking lot. But all the other months, we use the parking area so that they can be more visible, the tents can be more visible to the traffic on River Road. We wish to thank St. Charles Parish Recreation Department, led by Dwayne Foray, for approving the market's use of both the pavilion and the parking areas. The German Coast Farmers Market appreciates Mr. Foray's interest in the smooth operation of the market at the recreational facility. We are attempting to build this market on the West Bank. Over the past several months, unfortunately, both our vendor count and our patron attendance has declined. This seems to be something that is quite common on the West Bank Market. This is our 6th location over these 17 years, and I've watched the same trend each time. So we are trying, we're moving it a little bit farther down so people can see it. They're in the parking lot where things can be seen from River Road. But if anyone here has any suggestions what the problem is, we will be happy to entertain your solutions. In March, after about 8 months of having no market coordinator, we hired Christopher Walker as our market site coordinator. And after several months of working with our board members and myself sharing the duties with Chris, he recently has taken over the entire job description under the guidance of the board. And it's a team effort, and Chris has proved to be very efficient and capable of taking over the responsibilities. so that some of us can have a little bit more of life than just running the market. After reviewing the operation of the market, I wish to share just a few of our figures from 2022. The vendor sales reported for the year for both markets was nearly $411,000. The patron count for both markets was about 38,000 patrons. Nearly 1,500 volunteer hours were provided in 2022, and over 60 vendors have sold their products, 60 different vendors at our market. Because we accept SNAP cards and credit cards at the market, patrons have spent over $40,000 by using these methods of payment, which of course added to the sales of the vendors. United Way has matched SNAP payments by patrons for a total nearing $10,000. These figures reflect only 2022. And I'd like to inform you about a few upcoming events that we are quite excited about. We will be celebrating our 20th anniversary on Saturday, June 10th at the East Bank Regional Library in Destrehan. Please mark your calendars so you can plan to enjoy some exciting and fun during that morning. That's June 10th. And then we've reincarnated our Kid Crew de Market, which will roll on Saturday, February 11th. Kids can bring their wagons decorated by parents and throw their stuff, and we'll be on nice cement instead of our slag at our previous location. This is kind of very exciting to us because it just came out of nowhere. The River Parish Tourist Commission has set the market up with WWL-TV's programs of one-tank trips. Maybe you've seen that on TV. For filming the market and interviewing us at the West Bank Market on February 1st. I made a request to the connection person in charge to change the location to our East Bank Market since there's so much more available there on Saturday mornings, including vendors and activities and entertainment. If the relocation is not possible, the filming will take place on the 1st of February, but we're hoping that things will be able to be rearranged. But unfortunately, the film crew only works Monday through Thursday. So he didn't give me much hope that he could change it, but we'll see. All right, and the market board, vendors and patrons wish to express their appreciation to the St. Charles Parish Council, the parish president, and the parish directors of libraries and recreation for their cooperation and support. We are looking forward to a safe and successful 2023. And I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have or comments.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think your East Bank location is a much better location.
So do we.
And I think maybe part of your West Bank problem is that you don't get the vendors because you don't have the patronage. You don't have the patronage because you don't have the vendors. And
Exactly
so
right.
it's kind of a hit and miss. And it's just a strange time of day because it's like, noon to 6 o'clock on the weekday. And so people just don't see it till they're already past it when they're driving by, or they go through the light in the opposite direction and don't go that way. So I don't know if there's a way to put it at the foot of the 310 ramp to show that the farmer's market is just right around.
We have
Yeah.
very large signs, and we have like 6 feather flags that we pay our Chris to install every
Yeah.
market. And
Well, I appreciate the effort that they put forth
yes,
to make it a success. Thanks.
thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ann. Item 2023 0009. Parish President's Remarks Report. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. First, I'd like to just give some condolences. It's with great sadness that I open my report with news of the passing of one of our current employees and a former employee. Last week, Lionel Thomas, or as some called him, Touche, served as a laborer and groundskeeper and as a member of the grass cutting crew on the Public Works East Bank yard. He was a dedicated member of our crew since October of 2008, and he's going to be sorely missed. He was such a fun spirit and a joker when you would see him on the street, always dancing and having a great time. He always made the best of a very hard job and a very grueling job in the summers. And then Russell Taste, a former employee who's also the father of our EOC director, Jason Taste. He worked for St. Charles Parish during VJ St. Pierre's administration as a drainage superintendent in Public Works. And he did that after he retired from Union Carbide, working there for 32 years. And as I went to his services this morning, I drove by several areas of the parish that he has left his mark on. Drainage that he has either rerouted or improved, pumping stations that he's made better. And so he has certainly left his mark on the parish forever. And I just ask that you join me in keeping those families in your thoughts and prayers. Next, I just want to update you on Kelowna. As you can see today, trailers started moving out to properties that were devastated by Kelowna. Just as a recap, at the last council meeting, I thought that those trailers would be going out that week, but after some extensive rain and us removing debris, it looked like that we had to get some limestone ordered and that put in place. I just want to be clear, we did not order the limestone. Civil Construction, who's doing the haul and install on behalf of United Way, is providing that. So these trailers are starting to go out, and we'll be getting residents hooked up. We've also worked with residents to get their Entergy bills cleared to make sure that they can get a new account set up, and that will be taking place all of this week, and hopefully we'll be able to get all of those folks in there. It's come a long way. If you've had the opportunity to go out there and take a look at it, it looks a lot better than it did than after the tornado, but also very bad because it looks a lot different than what it did. And it's really a lot of that community and a lot of the area there has been hauled off now. And so we're going to keep working at this and keep getting these families in a good situation. And I just want to again thank our public works crews who have been out there nonstop, making sure these properties are cleared. Our waterworks, wastewater crews for marking the servitudes and marking the connections for civil construction to come in and install these trailers. And I want to thank United Way for helping with this, and I want to thank Dow for helping. We'll have more information on this as we complete this project. Additionally, we're continuing to do the normal things that we do on a daily basis. Hard to see here, but this is Deborah Court in Luling. These ditches were in need of maintenance, and so our crews were out there doing that. Lorry Court in Luling as well. Our crews were maintaining ditches over there. I guess you call that Polite Canal. This was one of Councilwoman Gordon's requests. As you can see, we call it a work order, but this is really a project. This is a big thing to go in there and clean these canals. And just take a look at it. If you would not see that excavator there where he had cleared, you would not know a canal exists. So we're happy to be in Kelowna making this improvement. And we thank Councilwoman Gordon for putting in that work order. Additionally, we had folks over in Pleasant Valley. Our carpenter crews have been working to replace broken curbs, curb-style catch basins with new concrete, and where concrete had been sunken in. These are very time-consuming projects because a lot of times number one, we have so many areas that need repair and very few carpenters to do it. And two, a lot of times after these guys do their framing, they have to kind of let everything set for a second before you come in and put, before you put new concrete. So we're taking the time to do these things the right way. And, but we're also taking the time to fix these tripping hazards and drainage issues and potential defects that are damaging to vehicles and other things like that. So as you can see, we're working on two very different types of things. We're doing our continued maintenance. We're also still responding to a terrible natural disaster from December. But that's just what you got to do around here, I guess. Severe weather on Tuesday, tomorrow. Looks like we have the potential. We're at a marginal risk right now for flooding rainfall for tomorrow. Actually, I think that's enhanced now. We're at an enhanced risk for tomorrow, January 24th. The EOC is monitoring the weather, and they're going to be providing updates as they get them. They'll be on the phone with National Weather Service all day. The forecast shows around 1 to 3 inches of rain with locally higher amounts possible. The weather should pass our area after Tuesday night. We're thinking that it's going to be happening a little bit later in the night than we thought originally. Isolated tornadoes are possible with straight line damaging winds as well as hail. High wind watch is in effect. That's winds of 30 miles per hour with frequent gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday morning. And our residents are always encouraged to sign up for our SCP alerts. They can text SCP alerts to 888-777 or visit scpemergencyalerts.com. As always, if you need anything, please call the EOC at 985-783-5050. All right, going on to our Martin Luther King book drive. RSVP is still collecting books for school-age children to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's life and legacy of service. We are asking that you bring a new or gently used book to the RSVP office inside of the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center, located at 274 Edward Dufresne Parkway in Luling. Books can be dropped off from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Over to sports registrations. We've been broadcasting this out. We have sign-ups going on from now through February 14th. If you want to register your child for baseball, softball, t-ball, tennis, track and field, you can visit us online at scpparksandrec.com and get more information for that. All right. Additionally, we don't have a slide for this, but our Waterworks department recently was graded with a letter grade. LDH has been giving all of the waterworks systems in the water systems in the state of Louisiana a letter grade, which is provided to the state legislature as well. We recently learned that the visit resulted in our water system receiving an A grade with a perfect score of 80 out of 80. This is a preliminary grade and is a direct result of the hard work of our waterworks teams and the men and women who maintain and operate our water drinking system or our drinking water system every day. So I want to thank those guys for their achievements. Additionally, you should know that this year we'll be having, I think, about 3 direct infrastructure projects related to waterworks. Filter C or filter E on the East Bank is being replaced. We currently have a filter being replaced on the West Bank, and I think they'll be moving to another one. We'll be installing generators at our backup generators at our facilities and upgrading those, and we will be replacing and bolstering the East Bank water intake, which you know was destroyed by a barge during Hurricane Ida. That's it.
Thank you, President Jewell. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, February 6th, 2023, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Courthouse, Hahnville. Item number 2023-0006, item number 2023-0011. Ordinance is scheduled for public hearing, introduced at a previous meeting. Item number 2022-0355. An ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1, final, for the Parity Canal Flood Control Structure Project number P080905-10A. Grant reference, project numbers U.S. Department of Treasury, project number 1RDCGR 380093-01-00. CPRA project number BA-0209 and DRA project number LA51112 as a part of the West Bank Hurricane Protection Levy to decrease the contract by $60,369.66 and increase the contract time by 236 days. Mr. Sholey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you just mentioned, this change order is is a reduction in cost, but it does have an extension of 236 days. I'd just like to preface this by saying that the Parity Gate control structure ties 8.6 miles of West Bank levee to the Sunset levee. The structure is engineered and constructed to meet Corps engineering standards, and it is part of the Corps' upper barrier levee system for 100-year protection. The project is under budget, but the main issue with it is 236 days of extended time. But this is primarily due to the fact that we worked through two of the highest rainfall years in the history of the parish. We worked through the aftermath of Ida, and we worked through all the multiple issues with COVID-19 and ability to keep crews together. And I ask for your support and consideration of that, and I ask that you approve this ordinance. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
File number 2022-0355 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cluley.
Sorry to be so repetitive, but I think it's amazing on a $5 million contract, all you had is $60,000 in change orders net.
It was under budget.
So
It's under budget by
congratulations on that.
$60,000.
Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0355. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr.
Madam
Schiller.
Chair and council members.
Item number 2022-0356, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1 for the Ellington Structures Kellogg Pump Station T-Wall project, number P080905-5F, CPRA project number BA0244, as a part of the West Bank Hurricane Protection Levy to increase the contract amount by $113,705 and increase the contract time by 90 days. Mr. Sholey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ellington Kellogg Pump Station frontal T-wall structure is engineered and constructed to meet Corps engineering standards and is part of the Corps' upper barrier federal levee system for 100-year protection. As part of engineering and construction, a test pile had to be driven to verify the length of the foundation piles and to ensure they're the correct length. I want to say, preface this and say that the design of the length of the test piles is a very complex calculation that's done, and that there are rare occasions where test piles do not meet the design criteria, and this is one of them right here. Jim Hance with Eustace Engineering is here tonight, along with BKI Engineering, if there's any additional questions about this. But the driving of the test pile comprised of doing what you call a static compression test. And the test was conducted, and it did not meet the 2-to-1 safety factor. And with that in mind, being that this T-wall is part of a federal project now, a part of the federal levee system. And keeping in mind that we had a $2.5 million grant from CPRA, Eustis contacted, and BKI contacted the Corps and CPRA, and we came to a consensus of doing this pile driving analysis, to where we went back and added a length of test pile to it, did a restrike, and measured the force and velocity to drive the pile down, and came up with a new calculation that the agencies agreed to, along with what Eustis Engineering recommended. And we have to add 5 foot to each of the 33 batter piles. Like I said, this is not something that happens often, but it does happen. And I appreciate your support, and like I said, Eustis is here if y'all have any additional questions that you want to ask. And I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Sholey. File number 2022-0356 is now open for public hearing. If there is anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this issue, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Sam, just one quick question. Is there a compaction survey done before we ever decided to put the pump station here? Did they go do soil borings or?
There were soil borings done in multiple areas. Again, Jim Hanson's here tonight, and he's a professional on this, but you can move 100 feet in different directions, and the soils can be different. So they did a composite of soil borings. When we started the West Bank levee system, we did borings, I believe it's every 500 feet. And then we did other borings in between. And they look at a composite of multiple borings, because the soils can change from one spot to another. We saw this when we were digging out the pond, the sump, and for the clay pit area and the sump that we have for Willow Ridge. We did roughly 30 borings in there, shallow borings, and we did multiple borings in one area, and we totally missed a sand zone through there. And we got halfway through the pit, and we couldn't use any more material. And the reason I use it as an analogy, we dismissed it. It wasn't, we didn't do the borings, we dismissed it. I'm just trying to use that as an example of saying that this is not a finite thing. So, like I said, he's here if you want to ask more questions about it, but it happens. I've been part of 17 projects where we've driven piles, and we've had issues with 3 of them. Now, this is the other issues we had, we were actually driving to refusal, and we had to do alternate test piles. So it just goes to show you don't know exactly what you're going to hit till you get there, and or exactly, what it's going to be. So, like I said, he's here if you have any questions. It does happen. It's not frequent, but it happens.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want you to confirm that this is a project that's already completed, correct?
What do you mean?
Project is complete, right?
Well, no, we just started the project
Oh, you
itself.
just started this project.
The test pile is the first thing you do.
Okay.
That shows you the importance of it, and it shows you that it's not an exact finite science. That's why you have to do a test pile. If it was that exact, you wouldn't have to do the test pile. They just do the calculation, you drive them. It's not. So every project where there's pilings, you do a test pile to start with, especially major structure.
So this is only
This
for
is the
test-
first part.
Only for the test piles on this
Right.
project.
This is the first thing that you do on the wall, is drive the test pile.
And this project is $4 million?
It's 4.3, now it's up to almost 4.5.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
President Jewell.
Thank you. Yeah, just to reiterate, the first thing that they do, that USIS does the geotech. The geotech is then given to the engineer. The engineer designs the wall based off of that information. And so when they get out there, they say, let's make sure that this is all correct. They drive that test pile. They wait so many days to allow the soil to compress around that pile. Then they start the load test. The Corps requires a 2-to-1 failure rate. And if you don't meet that 2-to-1, then this project couldn't be counted towards the Upper Bear Terror Risk Project. In other words, this money that we would spend, although it would be a benefit to the levy system, the Corps would not recognize it as a part of the state's match on these projects. So right now, we are going to get credit if we build it to Corps standards. We are going to get credit for this project towards the state's 65-35 match, and so I think that's the importance of adding that additional 5 foot on this batter pile, is that we know that it's going to meet that threshold now, and that the Corps is not going to have to come in later at some other point in time and do some sort of reinforcement, which we know they've done in other areas of levee around, I think, St. Bernard and Orleans.
Right, and to add to that, CPRA, being that they're the sponsor for the 35%, they just were not going to allow their funds to be used on a wall that didn't meet Corps standards. So that's why they were involved in it from the very beginning, and it's just part of doing engineering work. It happens, and not frequent, but it happens.
Okay. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sam, I appreciate the email that you sent to us immediately when this was discovered, and the detail that you went into to explain. The soil borings were done, but there is some margin of error given that the distance that they are done apart and that soil compositions can change pretty quickly between those distances. So, like you said, I know from previous experience with the parish that most of the time the test piles, show what they're supposed to show, but in this case, it did not. So this is a step that we have to take so that the project is still an accepted federal project. And I also appreciate that you came with this change order early on rather than waiting and lumping it in with the final, so that we can know this in advance.
Right.
And approve it in advance.
As soon as it happened, I notified the council as
You
soon as
did.
it happened, even before I sent the estimate.
Yes.
The other
Thank
one
you.
out, because, it's an effort that we all have to work together on, and it's, I think we all realize how important the levee system is to this parish, and especially in the years to come, and our hopes of getting a federal system.
That's right.
And so we're doing everything we can. President Jules doing everything he can to make sure we're working towards the federal system and working through with CPRA and the Corps and our partners, and that's extremely important. And I appreciate y'all's support.
Thank you.
And like I said, Mr. Hance is here. I know he's just anxious to answer questions. You want to ask him anything.
Thank you, Mr. Sholey. Please cast your votes for file number 2022-0356. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Chair and council
Thank you.
members. Appreciate your support.
Item number 2022-0357, an ordinance to assign the name Rainey Court to a portion of the right-of-way dedicated pursuant to ordinance number 07-9-4, which authorized the execution of the act of dedication for Kings Estates subdivision Phase 1. Mr. Mathern.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In 2007, when Kings Estate was dedicated, as part of the requirement for connectivity, they were required to put in 2 stub streets. Those stub streets were undeveloped, to be developed with the second phase of the project. The second phase was never developed. In 2002, the property that was to be the second phase was actually divided into 2 large parcels for individuals who intended to develop on their own piece of property. Each of them are about 2.5 acres. One of the landowners of that property, the landowner of 1A, asked for that access street, which is a street right away, to be renamed. It was never officially named, although on the re-subdivision it has Coretta Drive on it. I think it was just the surveyor who made that notation. But they asked for it to be officially named Rainey Court, but since it was actually a dedicated right-of-way. It doesn't affect anyone else's address. It only affects the requester property. So.
Thank you, Earl. File number 2022-0357 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0357. And that passes unanimously. File number 02230001, an ordinance adopting the St. Charles Parish Council Road and Bridges Capital Program Budget for the fiscal year 2023 through 2025 in accordance with the Parish Transportation Act. Mr. Dewsome.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As stated, the Parish Transportation Act requires us to adopt a 3-year budget. And as you all know, we only adopt a 1-year budget, but since the Parish Transportation Act does provide us with $500,000 a year to go to road maintenance, we oblige with approving this 3-year budget. So what this does is it approves the 2023 budget, which you have already approved, which includes the $500,000 plus the $2.7 million that Miles set aside in his budget for roads, and this is all road maintenance. And then the next 2 years are just the $500,000 that we will receive. So it's this year's budget plus $500, and every year we'll come and do the same thing for you. So I appreciate your support.
Thank you. File number 2023-0001 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2023-0001. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2023-0002, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with NTF Group LLC for the St. Charles Parish Edwin Dufresne Community Center, IDA, and windows repair, project number EDCC 0322, in the amount of $1,144,000. Mr. Dewey. Oh.
No. Change faces here. Vice President, Madam. As you see, this is for IDA and some of the window repair and just get that building dressed back up so we can put it back in operation properly.
Okay.
Answer any questions.
File number 2023-0002 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is this funded through insurance?
Some of it's funded through insurance, some of it's through other funds.
Through like budget items or whatever?
Yes.
You have a timeline as to when this is going to start and how long it'll be?
This is probably going to take around 6 months maybe, by the time it's all said and done.
So is it going to be open or closed during the
It's going to be
construction?
open. We're going to work around everything, have everything barricaded off when we're working in certain areas. We're going to take out the gym. We're trying to work it around where we get away from any of the
events
and different things that's going on down there as far as basketball, volleyball inside.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob, what kind of a warranty is the contractor going to provide on this work? Do you
I'd
know?
have to look. They haven't hired a window company yet, but we're going to be looking into that as soon as we get through that.
Would you mind just
Meeting
shooting
next
me an
week.
email when you find
Yes,
that out?
I will.
Thank you.
Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Messley, so this is also going to fix some of the issues that we've had
Yes,
with the windows before? I
Yes,
know
sir.
it got worse during Hurricane Ida, but this is some of the things that we
yes,
saw.
we're addressing all of it.
So this would be the total windows.
Total
huh?
revamped, and it's going to clean it out, stop all the leaking on the inside. So it's going to completely stop everything we had there.
Good. All right, thank you.
President Jewell.
Just wanted to make a mention that this project came in under the engineer's estimate, which
Yes.
was a very welcome thing.
And he's here to also, back in the back, if you need to ask any questions from the engineer.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you. I had one more question. Is this going to address also the leak by the front door?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, file number 2023-0002 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? I've already done that. Please cast your votes for file number 2023-0002. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2023-0003, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 21-1-4 to prove an act of correction to remove parcel 100 and redesignate lots L1, L2, L3, and 19A of Fashion Plantation, Hawnville, St. Charles Parish, Louisiana. Mr. Mathern.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When River Road Estates was dedicated, or I'm sorry, River Place Estates Phase 1 was dedicated in 2022, all of us were paying attention to the same thing. The lots 1 through 42, which were the building sites, and the actual specific dedication of the street to us. What we didn't notice was that the surveyor had actually missed an administrative re-subdivision that took place immediately before all of this started. And when the act of dedication came through, the parcel just to the south was all designated as one lot. It never was one lot. It doesn't even have one owner. So this is an act of correction, putting back the 4 lots that should have never gone away. It was an error. There was, we couldn't even go back and re-subdivide it into those because it already is those. So the only way to address it was to actually do an act of correction on that final plat. It doesn't affect any of the 42 buildable lots, nor does it affect any of the right-of-ways that have been dedicated to us. Only the vacant land to the south. So we would ask for your support on that, so we can get them to move on with any other possible phases that may happen on this property.
File number 2023-0003 is now open for public hearing. If there is anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2023-0003. That passes unanimously. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings, Hospital Service District Number 1, Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, 2 p.m., council chambers. Special Housing Authority meeting, Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, 5 p.m., has been relocated from council chambers to the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center Meeting Room, 274 Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway, Luling. Housing Authority, Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, 6 p.m., has been relocated from council chambers to the Edwin A. Dufresne Community Center Meeting Room, 274 Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway, Luling. Lafourche Basin Levy District, Wednesday, February 1st, 2023, 6 p.m., Lafourche Basin Levy District Office, 21380 Highway 20, Vacherie. Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, February 2nd, 2023, 6 p.m., council chambers. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, February 2nd, 2023, 6 p.m., council chambers. I'm sorry, February 6th. Where'd I get 20? An adjournment. A council and a second is needed to adjourn. I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca and a second by Ms. Gordon. Please cast your votes. That passes unanimously, and we are adjourned.